Okay.
This,
So I just want to show this first, and then I'm going to demonstrate it. Over a year ago, I had done this presentation on different aging techniques and realism techniques. And what I'm going to do is take like the first three out of this presentation and actually demonstrate it here tonight. So the first thing with this, is that the way? This yellow building here, you can actually see all the nails going up the side where the studs technically would have been in the wall. So I'm going to demonstrate to you how I actually did that technique. And it's done with a tool called a pounce wheel. Maybe you can jump over to my other spotlight, my desktop here now,
I have to find it.
my iPhone.
Do
Do I need to unshare for you to do that?
No.
wheel.
Oh, you're on share. I can't
Yeah.
do both at the same time.
Okay. Let me stop sharing there.
There.
Oops.
I could see
Oh.
it before and now it went away.
I can see both. There we go.
Now
Okay.
I'm spotlighting her camera.
Okay, so I'm just taking a plain wall panel that has some a siding already in it. This was left from a kit that I had used. This is a pounce wheel. And if anybody's not familiar with it, this particular one, which I can't get out of the plastic, comes with 4 different wheels to it. And let me get it on the screen here. You can see, if I get it closely, that each one, the serration on the wheel is smaller and smaller. Some of the ones in the package, the serrations are quite big. If you were doing like a 1-inch scale one, you could actually do this here is a seamstress tool for when they're putting the pattern, stitch lines on a pattern. And it's the same concept, but you can see the serration is really, really big on this. But for anybody doing quarter scale, half scale, the true pounce wheel with all the different wheels on it would be better. So what I do normally in buildings, it depends on the load and the wood and all that, how far our studs are apart. But not for the most part, they're usually 18 inches on center. So looking at this piece of wood here, this panel, that would mean that there would probably be like one right over to the edge, one kind of here in this section here, one next to the window, one on the other side of the window, and one on the very edge. So I would take my straight edge. I don't have the best of straight edges here. And try to do this without striking the camera, which I just did. Put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to get rid of the straight edge. And I would just run this pounce wheel right up. Oh, it's harder to do when the camera is in my way. And you
Oh,
won't see it yet, but watch later on when I do another, and I'm just running it up.
Are you pushing pretty hard?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to. It will probably be hard to see on the camera, but I'm going to apply some alcohol ink to it. Then I'll usually do one halfway through the window. And then, so what I'll do is just do one here. And then one right over on the edge. I'll turn it around. For some reason, my pounce wheel here tonight is plastic is cutting through as well. So right now, I don't know if you can see the holes. No, it doesn't really show up well.
no, it shows up more when we have color on it.
Okay. What I usually do then is take some alcohol ink. And most of the things that I age, before I paint them, I paint them with alcohol ink first. Just putting a bit into my tray. My paintbrush. I think then you'll actually see the markings.
Oh, I'm going to go downstairs.
Can you see them now?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
Yes.
So you get that realism that it's you know, there's where the nails were put into the studs. Need a
Mm.
little bit more ink.
Wanda, that tool that you used is not just a regular sewing one. Where did you get it?
I got it at a model railroad shop. And
And
you can
that's
buy it probably online, but it is called a pounce wheel. So if you see there now, all of the nail heads here are shown.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So one of the reasons that I always apply alcohol ink, that one's quite dark I used there then, but I always paint on top of that. So it kind of gets the old look. And I always use, I don't know if you can see this in the screen. This is one of those grout sponges. And you see the other end of it, you'll see that I've eaten quite a bit of it. So I
It's not good on
I
the
tear
stomach.
off a piece, and I always use a torn piece like this. I never ever use a cut piece. I always tear it so that I got a rough edge to it. So I end up with an edge kind of like that. So then I take my paint. I just got some folk art paint here in a coffee color. I'll get some out of the jar. Helps to take one that wasn't so. Put a little bit of it in my tray. You see, I've got some there in the tray there now. And when you think of a wall, like the eave of the roof would be on the top up here. And that eave is going to protect the paint. Whereas down on the lower part of the wall, the eave, you know, the wall is more exposed. So what I do, I'll apply the paint thicker on the top and then get thinner as I go to the bottom. Sorry, my hand is in the way. I literally got the camera like inches from my.
So you're not dabbing it on, you're painting it on with that sponge, sort of?
I'm
or-
dabbing it on.
Okay, yeah, you are dabbing.
Because I don't want a lot. And you could do a dry brush technique as well. And it's always good too. Sorry guys, I'm gonna put my hand over here on the other side. It's always good to use different parts of the sponge so you don't get a consistent look.
Hmm.
Keep striking the camera. Sorry, I'm trying to get it in the camera, but not strike the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go, the more I try not to strike the camera, the more I move away from it. Oops, way too much there then.
Can you bring it down a little bit? Yeah. Thank you.
No problem.
What color are you putting on? A brown? A
It's
tan?
called coffee latte.
Okay.
So you can see like the wall looks like the paint is stronger on the top, but very little bit on the bottom. I could probably put a little bit more under the window itself. So it gives, like say, I give the wall an old weathered look. Another thing you can do is take a blade and go in under some of those. And I didn't bring out my blade. I just realized, well, I'll use my saw. and you can pick up some of those siding pieces and make it look like the wood is split. Should be using an X-Acto knife for this, but you can get a look like that.
Mm.
And usually that occurs closer to where the nails have gone in there, because that's where the wood would have split, because water would have gotten in there, right? So you got to
Mhm.
kind of think of how the elements like rain and things like that affect the wood. I don't know if you can see where I lifted it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you back maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
see
like I say, I end up with a
it-
panel, and I know you can't see some of the nail heads again here, but I can see them here, but I can't see them on the camera. But they're still very much there. It's hard to see some of it there in the picture. But that's usually what I do with all of the old buildings that I want to do. So I'll use the pounce wheel first. I'll use a alcohol ink. Sometimes my alcohol inks are more gray. That one I brought up, that would be more brown. But I find the gray ones look a little better for as realistic, make the wood look old. Like I say, that's usually the technique I'll do with every wall panel on an old weathered building. Any questions on that one?
That's great. Yeah, it looks
Okay.
pretty good.
Wanda, could you give
Yeah.
us the name of the pounce wheels? Because looked on Amazon and just regular shopping, and I don't see a package like yours. Do you know the name of it?
Well, there's no name left on
Oh,
it. All I have
okay.
is the plastic tray. I kept the
Okay.
plastic tray, but the packaging is gone from it.
You know,
Okay.
they might have them on Micro Mark.
Well, wait now.
Okay.
I just looked on the wheel itself,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
and there's a logo that says Trumpeteer. So trumpet,
Trumpeteer.
E-R, trumpet,
Okay.
E-R.
Oh.
Can you spell Pence? I just want to make sure I'm spelling it right.
Pounce, Pounce.
Pounce. Pounce.
Yeah.
Okay, I was spelling it wrong. Thank you.
No problem. So that's one technique. If I was doing individual strips of wood on the siding, and I brought up a bigger piece in this case to show you from my craft room, and I take my regular saw that you just saw here and and I actually take the edge of this, see if I can do that, and I run it right across the wood. Not, I'm see if you can see what I just did. Yeah, it's hard
Do you
to tell.
create like a wood grain effect?
It gives it a wood grain effect, yeah.
Oh,
So I'm just doing a bit more. And then again,
What is
when I
it?
take my alcohol ink and run it across it,
What is it you used? Your saw?
my saw, yeah,
Saw blade, yes, that's a good idea.
yeah.
Still
And
look.
I wish it would show it better on camera, but it doesn't. But I can see the grain, like you can go over this 2 or 3 times, and
Oh, that's cool.
just see if I can use my brush again. But all the grain, it makes, how wood gets really weathered and the grain becomes more pronounced in it. It does the
Mhm.
same technique. Yeah, it's not coming up clearly. I got 2 different lamps on me to see if I can get this right, but I wish it was showing more clearly than that. But that is the technique that I use to get wood grain in strips of siding.
Hmm.
Okay. The other thing that I use, and I just got a piece of wood here, and say, for example, I was doing even a piece of furniture and I wanted to get a wood grain in it. I use these wire brushes, so I got all sorts of them there. Like you can get them usually in packs like this. There, let me pull back on the rest. Packs like this. I said there's different grains, and there are even different, like one is a bronze, one is a silver, sterling silver, and now it's a black, but they got different textures to them, almost a different diameter to the wire, and it makes a different effect. But I use these all the time on the wood, and when I run this across the wood, well, I think I used this on something else before. Let's get rid of that. Do a different one. It just brings out the grain of the wood. You need to go with the grain, not against it.
Right.
And again, I don't know if this is going to show up, but I can see all this grain. And let me just try the ink. Let me do a different color ink to see what happens. It looks kind of greeny. And you can add rubbing alcohol to these and lighten these colors up as well. And my paintbrush. And this is more of a green. Let me see if it makes it show up more.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with the alcohol ink, you also try to go with the grain.
Always, well, with the wire brush, go with the grain.
Okay, but as you're painting it on,
Yeah, I also went with the grain for that, but really no need there. It was just, but
okay.
definitely with the wire brush, go with the grain. And I say you can do more and more. The more you do it, the more weathered it will look.
Can you try it with the brushing where the alcohol ink is? And
Pardon?
can you try brushing where the alcohol ink is and see
See what
what?
happens? Sure can, yeah.
Yeah. Ah,
Actually, let me use, which one was the dirty
Mm.
one?
Hmm. Hmm.
See the effect?
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Looks like
Mhm.
an old floor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the
Like I said,
point.
it's just very, the pounce wheel is probably the most unusual tool I'm using. But like everybody probably has one of these saws, and these wire brushes, like this is like $1 wire brush, right? They're
Yeah.
not an expensive tool by no means. And
Yeah, I think I've seen those in Dollar Tree or
yeah, and I say they give you all these different effects to the wood, right? So the project that I've done here, maybe I can take my camera up and show you. I had a different. Just going to give me 1 second there. I'm just going to move this over. So this is the project you saw there. So like that wood on this was done with that wire brush or that saw on these pieces of wood. And this piece here was the one that had the nail heads done in it.
Hmm.
And all of even the stuff here, you can see I used a wire brush on all of this. This is an old marine scene. So, any questions on it?
Wanda, did you use alcohol inks to color those buildings?
Pardon? Sorry.
Did you use alcohol inks to color those buildings that we were just looking at?
I used a combination of alcohol, ink, and paint.
Okay.
The only one that probably has no alcohol ink was the very first one I showed. Oops.
One word of warning.
Thanks.
Don't use your best new unused saw blade because it will mess it up a bit.
Oh, okay. He's an old one.
Mm. I do use for an old one.
Anyway, that was the 3 techniques that I had prepared there for tonight. I'll see if this had dried enough so that you could see more of it.
They're great.
Yeah, it looks good.
I like how you lifted up the wood a little bit to give it more of that aged look.
Definitely, yeah. Like I say, it's very easy to do with it, but it's just some basic tools. Like I said, the only different one is that pounce wheel. And like I say, you could use the sewing one, but
Mhm.
you'd almost have to go over it twice and kind of alternate where the notches hit so that you get twice the amount of nail hits to it, right? Or a quarter scale, especially.
Hmm.
There's the other one.
I just tried that on my white floor, but my white was a little dirty, so it turned it gray.
That's all the ones I prepared here for tonight. I thought the 3 of them would take about a half an hour, so it's probably a little less than that.
Oh,
But,
that's
Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank
Are there any
you.
Thank you,
additional
Wanda.
tips, Wanda, that you think that even if you're not demonstrating them today, that you think would be valuable, or tools that you think would be valuable for distressing?
well, I can go back and share that original presentation and show you some other things that
we should do, because I don't know where, do we have a video on that? Oh, it may be on the YouTube. I don't remember. On that the ones we downloaded. But now we have new access to this stuff. So
I will take a look for that too.
yeah.
just trying to find that original presentation again.
Did it
There it
really
is.
presentation before, but I don't know if we recorded it or not. That was when Marcia was in charge, and she did record some things and put them up on her YouTube site where you got a lot of those videos. We have a new YouTube site now on MCC, so I'll have Heather post that where you can get these videos.
Just going back to that presentation again. So, there's the technique I had used on all those strips of wood with that saw, and that's what made that building on the end. And that's
Cool.
only done in alcohol ink, nothing but. A skiver is another thing I use to thin out leather to make furniture. Sorry, I gotta move. This is just styrofoam, like the pink insulation styrofoam, and all the blacks are carved in that with a pencil. There's the sponge I used again, and all the painting on all of this is just done again with alcohol ink first, and then done with a sponge painting. Can you see my screen? I am sharing it.
Yes,
Right?
it's
Yes.
fantastic.
Okay, it doesn't show on mine, so that's what's throwing me. This is another alcohol ink that I use a lot. It's a micromark one called Age It Easy, and it's more gray. Some of the ones I was using today are more brown.
What did you call the sponges?
It's a grout sponge.
Thank you.
The thing with the grout sponge is that the holes in the sponge are almost the right consistency, right scale for miniature painting. Some of the other regular sponges, the holes are too big. This is another project I did, and you can see it made it look like copper and copper turns green with time. And I use these patina kits here from Rust-Oleum or from Modern Masters, but Modern Masters is owned by Rust-Oleum. And I use a lot of these dry powders, like the roof film. It's just corrugated paper that's been painted and then dry brushed with a copper colored rust powder. And same with these pastel chalks. A lot of the old dirty look that you see on the edges of the marine scene are all done with pastel chalks.
Not to be confused with the oil pastels.
Pardon?
Funny, we
Not to be
forget
confused
that
with
we
the
have
oil
chalks to
pastels,
use.
right?
It still couldn't hear what you were saying.
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
I said not to be confused with the oil pastels.
Exactly, yeah. And like I say, even on the splintered fairy tales, all of the bottoms, I use all pastels on all of this, pastel chalks.
With the pastel chalks, do you use the grout sponge to dab it onto your scene?
Sorry, I lost my screen there for a second. It's gone black on me. Oh, it's just spinning. Sorry, let me go back. And what was your question again, Valerie?
With the pastel chalk,
Yeah.
how do you apply it? Are you using a sponge to apply it, or are you using a brush?
No, I scrape it off into a powder form and then
Okay.
brush it on and brush the powder on.
Brush. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So all of these are done with pastel chalks.
Will those chalks then stick, or do you have to do something else to them?
Somebody else said that to me one time before. I've never put anything on top of them, and it's always stayed with, stayed on there.
Okay.
It's kind of making like something dirty. You've seen how I made that staircase that was in the previous one. This here, the layer, this is just paper, by the way, printed here on a Cricut. And I just put layers of glue on top of it. And then I sponge painted it with several different colors of metallic paints. So you can see here it was black cardstock that was printed on a Cricut, and just layers of glue. And then once the glue dried, I painted it, and it gave the, looked like real old wrought iron. And these types of inks here, I use those on the edges of all my floor plans, documents, and things like that I used in my architect's loft. This one here was actually real copper that I bent and folded in a jig that I made. And then I applied a mixture of alcohol ink and not alcohol ink, sorry, salt and vinegar mixed together. And I put it in a glass jar, put it back for a couple of weeks. And then once it started to turn green, I painted the copper with it. Here's when the copper was painted in the lower picture. And this is what it looked like about 3 weeks later.
Wow.
The same way in real life that salt in the air would turn copper roofs on buildings. Same idea. This is actually paper, and it's made to look like wood grain, and it's made using I can't even pronounce this product here. Liquin. Somebody. Again, these are some techniques I can show probably in some later ones, but it just takes a lot to set it all up. This is another product I use to make paint look old and weathered and bubbling. And it's a product called Salt Wash. And it's just a dry powder you mix into the paint, and you get a technique like that.
Where did you get that?
I work in the paint industry, so let's go back to it. I got it at a trade show one time, but it's not something we carry in store. But that is the brand name if somebody wants to take a screenshot of it.
Can you get it in the US, or is it just a Canadian
Oh, I'm
thing?
sure you can get it in the US. Yeah.
Called Salt Wash.
Yeah. And crackling mediums, all sorts of crackling mediums. These pictures I got from Brenda's dollhouse, but you can see the spindles on the house are all, the paint is all crackling, and that's all done with these different types of crackle mediums. And basically what you do is apply the crackle apply paint, apply the crackle medium, and apply a different paint on top of it, and the crackle medium cracks all the paint. And the thicker you apply the crackle medium, the bigger the cracks.
You can get the salt wash
On
from
Amazon.
Amazon. There's a
Yeah.
10-ounce container for $24. There's a
Oh,
bigger one, but yeah. Yes.
On the crackle medium, do you have a preference of which one you
Oh,
think is
sorry.
better than a different on the crackle?
No, to be honest, I tried them all. These were literally all the ones in my collection, and I've
Okay.
used every one of them at one point
Okay.
or another. And like say, the only like for miniatures, you need to put a very thin layer on it because you want a very fine cracks. Whereas if you
Yeah.
start putting thick layers of this crackle medium on there, you'll get you'll get the cracks will be too out of scale. What I can
Okay.
do on some later presentation is actually demonstrate some of this stuff. Except for
Yeah.
tonight, I only came up with the 3 to do there. Again, this is just styrofoam. You can see down there the pink styrofoam, and I just carved it to make this castle. You can see from
Wow.
the layout of it there. And again, I just sponge painted all of the styrofoam. Same with this is styrofoam here again. And this is on that same marine scene I just showed you earlier. This is actually egg cartons, both the slate on this building, the slate on this building, and the bricks on this walkway are all made from egg cartons.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, maybe you could show that again when we do egg carton stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause that later this year.
Yeah. And the paper signs that you see, I can show that how I do all of those. And there's a real technique to those as far as sanding the paper, believe it or not, on the back of it to the point that it's so thin. And then when you apply it, like somebody looked at this marine paint store building here and they want to know how I was able to paint that sign on there so well. And it's actually not painted on, it's actually paper that's been thinned out so much with sandpaper that they thought I had painted it on.
Wow.
This was actually a grate that I put in in another project I did in the street scene, and I actually cut that out on a cricket. It was the very first cricket project I actually ever cut out. Was that grate? There's just some examples of what a real project. This is not not my work. This is just pictures of what happens, like looking at some ideas for realism. So I have a tendency anytime I'm doing something just to look at a real picture or something and use that as my inspiration. This was another gate action I'm doing on what was my create year-long project in the first year, which I didn't finish. But this was these plastic fencing, and this is what I made it look like by the time I finished aging it.
Oh, wow.
And it's just with layers of paint, but just dry brushed or sponge painted. This is more buildings. This was the real building that's actually in Universal World in Orlando. And this was my version of it in miniature.
Wow.
Wow, real good.
Yeah.
And there's some pictures of more real brick walls. So I just look at the brick walls and see how the bricks, you can see the different colors going through it, or where the flower pots or flower boxes have been watered. You see all the streaks that come down under it. You see the grass growing on the rock. So I just keep looking at different looks like that to see how can I mimic that in miniature, right? This is actually an old stone wall in downtown St. John's. I'm walking down the street and I have to stop and take a picture of it. And it's just like the vines growing up it and all the different stones, right?
Yeah.
So I keep looking at different things like that for inspiration. It's another one of it close up.
Wow.
And then again, this is cedar. You see how, remember I talked about how under the eaves, the colors are more protected. And then as it got down to the bottom, see the stain that alcohol ink would make that look on the bottom. Whereas on the top, it would be more the natural wood, right? And again, this is a real project. But again, this is what I use for my inspiration when I was even doing the wharf on my marine scene. I looked at how the posts would have turned in the water, right? Again, this is some brick. You see what happens with it, all the color and discoloration, how it turns green. So if you go look back, remember my Splinter's Fairy Tales project, you see a lot of green mossiness growing on the bottom of all the buildings. This is actually this is a historic buildings in St. John's. They're called the Four Sisters. And I keep saying I'm going to build them someday in miniature, but they're, it's all slate. The roof, front roof here is slate. The walls are slate, but it's beautiful.
Wow.
But again, you see how the rock is all turned with time, right? Again, you see how the color is gone on the siding. Same up here. Like these are real houses, and you understand how you can see the nail heads. They're the same technique I was using there with the pounce wheel. But then the wood is just almost done in a dry brushed alcohol ink. Again, it looks like here different you look at the concrete down around the bottom here, how it's turned yellow and brown. Like, those are things you got to look at when you're doing them. So I'll always look at different projects and see, what's real on it, right? Because nothing's ever perfect in real life. Same with here, there's metal siding, but you see how the rust is starting to appear on the bottom of it. And that's all of it.
I'm sorry, Wanda, could you go back to the cedar shingle one? Would that be too hard to do?
No
I've
problem.
been taking
Yeah.
a couple of pictures.
Sure. Trying to find it on my screen here now. This one?
No, go back more. Back, 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 back. And it's this one, that one. Yeah, hold on just 1 second. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions there?
No, I love it.
Anyways, like I say, that's all I've been doing. I wish it would show it up clear on the camera. And I knew I had to put the camera close, but even putting it closer, some of it's hard to see.
Very nice. Yeah, I would look forward to a lot more of the techniques you do, that's for sure.
You
Thank you very much, Wanda. It's very
Oh, you're
good.
welcome,
Yes,
Rusty.
thank you.
Very interesting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Thank you for the lovely town. Bye-bye.
No
Bye,
problem.
Rusty.
Thank you for coming.